I've started companies in my garage just like this. That's why we selected a garage for these training videos, because it's a place of creativity, a place of finding spare parts and building cars or building motorcycles or building your life or your career. And I remember when we bought Grand Canyon University, the chief operating officer, a guy named John Crowley, did a remarkable job of recruiting young executives that were very young, 24, 25, 26 years old, and he gave them more responsibility than they ever would have at another company. And he did this because he wanted to grow our bench, and he had a big belief in young, energetic executives could be trained to grow. And amazingly enough, a lot of these young people said, wow, that's way too much responsibility. I can't do that. I can't manage 300 people. I've never managed a single person. Many of those people, because of John's mentoring and his belief in their ability and their willingness to put in the hard work, are now CEOs of companies that are doing $60, $70, $80 million a year. Several are on a pathway to be CEOs and leaders in marketing jobs, in HR positions, in technology jobs, at the top levels, what we call the C-suite of major multi-billion-dollar corporations. So we're going to show you how to build your job journey to land senior level positions, C-suite jobs, and board seats. By the end of this lesson, you'll know how to land the most coveted upper level jobs in the world. It may not happen on day one, but we want to give you a vision of where you can go. Everybody can have upward mobility. I don't care what your background is, what your family is. One of my friends said, death is the great equalizer. Death doesn't care about diversity. Death handles everybody the same. I believe this technology and getting into a mindset of the fact that your job is working on getting your next job versus the job you're doing is a mindset that can help you continue to increase. C-level or C-suite leadership means a role beginning with the word chief, like CEO for Chief Executive Officer or CFO for Chief Financial Officer. And there's a bunch of other C-like positions like COO, Chief Operating Officer, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, CPO, Chief People Officer, and it goes on and on and on. But what it means, these people have earned substantial salaries, plus often include equity in the company, which is a currency that is extremely valuable. It's the stock. But they're very difficult to get, which makes sense. For every one CEO, there are hundreds of thousands of other jobs within that same company. So there's a lot of competition for that one top slot. The best talent is competing for these positions. Openings are rarely posted online, and if they are guaranteed to have 1,000 applicants. So, how do you find those coveted, unique C-suite opportunities that I believe every person can achieve? I'll show you how. Number one, remember that landing top-tier jobs is all about building valuable relationships. If you want to be a leader within a company, you should be building relationships with CEOs, founders, chair members, board members, and investors in those businesses like the private equity firms known as PE firms, venture capital firms known as VC firms, and wealthy family offices, which by the way are getting very large. Those are the gatekeepers to the most exclusive jobs. You can't get a job in a C-suite without being approved by the investors. It's important to know that reaching out to the CEO is smart, unless you want to be the CEO. It seems obvious, but you'd be surprised. You don't want to reach out to the person whose job you want to take. But for everything else, the CEO is absolutely a decision maker. To get hired as a CEO, you will need to proactively reach out to other parties, make inquiries, and build your relationships. Build your relationships in your industry, public policy, and especially the investors that are investing in companies where you want to thrive. Number two, a good time to reach out is when you hear that a new CEO has just taken over. Keep an eye on the news and press releases for the companies you're targeting. Typically, when a new CEO takes the helm of the company, they come in hoping to take a fresh approach to management, which includes hiring new people, especially their C-suite team. And they may not be able to recruit them as quickly from where they worked with them before due to conflict of interest or employment agreements that restrict them from talking to people they used to work with. So it's a wide open opportunity for you. If you see a new CEO put in a position, you know they're going to be hiring their team. Since you're going for top tier positions, you definitely want to reach out to the CEO directly to initiate a conversation. Keep in mind that often founders are CEOs. Sometimes though, founders will look to take on another role or even take a back seat to the company as the company grows. That's very hard for founders to do, but it's smart. So stay close to the startups that look promising. Stay close to the founders. Treat founders differently than you do management. For example, at Google, the two founders eventually brought in Eric Schmidt to be CEO and run the business as it started to take off. They were smart enough to know they didn't have the management skills to handle a fast-scaling technology company. Number 3, build relationships with board members wherever you can. Get conversations going without any inclination of working for that company. It's not manipulation, it's just common sense. Start building relationships with board members in the industries in which you want to work. If leadership or management isn't doing their job or hitting the necessary benchmarks after time, you have built a relationship with a board member who will be in charge of firing the CEO and hiring someone else. Therefore, getting your name known among board members at a company where you want a C-suite position and doing it very artfully is very valuable. That's why, if possible, it's paramount to build relationships with people who sit on the boards of 3 or more companies. You can target that with our technology. It's important also to emphasize that it's not a one-and-done inquiry about openings. You have to actually continually build relationships. Even if they don't need a new CEO or CFO today, they may need one in 6 months or 2 years down the road. That's why you want to be front of mind at the top of the funnel of candidates that might be considered for a position that may or may not be open today, which is why it's important to have social check-ins. Affinity check-ins are important over time. Number 4, you'll see the best results when building relationships with a private equity firm or a venture capital firm. These people invest money in talent, and they're always looking for great talent. Many times, a PE or private equity firm or VC, venture capital firm, will have hundreds of investments active at the same time with dozens and dozens of more in the pipeline, all driven by human capital. Human capital is what they invest in. Since they have so many companies in play, there will always be a few that need changes at the top or are growing too quickly or need to bring in additional leadership. You want to be in the front of their mind with these investors who are trying to protect their investment with the right human capital. Often, investors like to go into a possible acquisition knowing ahead of time who is going to run the newly bought business and will even include you in their due diligence process. I have been paid before by private equity firms that are looking at acquiring a company and they want my insights whether they hire me or not. This is an opportunity for you as well. So again, it goes back to building your brand. Make sure your brand is out in the marketplace at the board level and with the investment community. To connect with investors, you need to offer them something valuable. They're basically very greedy. PE and VC firms are always looking for new places to deploy capital. The truth is, the world is awash with capital right now. Investors cannot find enough places to invest capital, so they need human capital to put their financial capital to work. It's a highly competitive field. Investing with good opportunities lead to bidding wars. Help them out by using the BetterJob platform to find a few interesting investable companies for them. Then you will have something valuable to offer them when you reach out. So do your research, find out what they're looking for. You can use this technology to find them a target company, which, by the way, you should be CEO of because you found it and brought it to them. To do this, all you need to do is find companies that might be ripe for growth capital or a founder that might be older and looking to retire and sell. This is especially true of family-owned businesses. Statistically, most sons and daughters do not want to take over their family business. That creates a situation where the family needs to sell the business. Then reach out to the appropriate contact, create your relationship, and begin to build that person relationship in order to take them to your investors. So to recap, finding a position in the C-suite at the C level is more about building relationships than any other level of job hunting or finding. Think of it as a numbers game to strive to get on as many people's radar as possible over a period of time. This works, and I've seen senior executives do this ad hoc without our technology very, very well. Make sure you're talking to investors and talking to board members, and use the technology to become much more efficient. And when you bring an investor a great deal, they love you forever. Utilize the built-in favorites tab to scale your search. Connect with CEOs, board members, and investors. Offer something useful to spark a conversation and build as many relationships as you can. Check in once a quarter with your new contacts to stay fresh in their minds. Another trick is to get on as many boards as you can for free. Oftentimes, when a company needs new management, a board member will be selected to assume that role. If you can get on 3 to 5 boards, it's likely that one of those could turn into a full-time C-level role for yourself at some point in the future. So remember, get in front of as many people as you can, keep track of your efforts in the favorites tab, and keep building those relationships. You will be amazed the fruit it will produce.